I came across this post on Pinterest about triggers for INFJs, and I thought I could break down why each point is a trigger based on the cognitive functions. The first one is loud noises. That is a well-known trigger for stress for INFJs, and it is because we have inferior SE. Our SE isn't that well developed, so having an environment with a lot going on, such as an area with loud noises, will quickly leave us feeling overwhelmed. Also, we have a tendency to have a lot going on in our heads at all times. I know that my mind is always full of loads of different thoughts, ideas, things to remember, things I need to do, questions, and planning. So I only need a relatively small increase in noise from my environment, and I can find it hard to concentrate. Secondly is lies. This is related to our secondary FE, as it goes against our values. It's a general value for human beings. We all know that lying is wrong, even before our parents teach us, and that inbuilt conscience will only stop telling us that it's wrong if we do it so much that our conscience becomes seared and basically mute it. I value honesty and integrity, so when someone lies to me, that will cause a problem. I aim to always be honest with people, and I value treating others as I want to be treated myself. Therefore, when someone doesn't respect me enough to tell me the truth, I don't appreciate it. Thirdly is controlling people. To be fair, this could be taken either way, as in, I don't like to control people myself, and I also don't like people who are controlling. Both will go against my FE values, because I value and appreciate that I have free will, and the right to do what I want as long as it doesn't cause any harm to others. And someone trying to control me will stop me from being able to exercise my free will. Also, me trying to control others will cause me to become a hypocrite, as I'm doing something that I don't like myself, and that will go against my values too. Also, being NI dominant, I like to be in control of myself, so I can plan and organise my time. INFJs and INTJs don't like to feel out of control themselves, as it is a big cause of stress and overwhelm. Fourthly is conflict. Again, another clear FE value-focused problem. Conflict tends to hurt one or both parties, and is usually not the best way to deal with any issues, so INFJs will prefer to take time apart so that everyone can calm down, and then come back and discuss issues rationally, without the worry of someone saying something in the spur of the moment that can cause hurt to the other party. Plus, our FE can absorb the emotions of other people around us, and conflict often produces lots of emotions, so we can become overwhelmed with so many emotions that need to be processed and sorted. Next is having our integrity questioned. This is another FE value issue. If I value having integrity, then I'm going to make sure that I maintain that integrity. So if it is questioned, then it will be like telling me that I'm a liar or not who I say I am. Basically telling me that my values are rubbish and that I'm a hypocrite, and that's likely to cause a lot of hurt. Feeling rushed, I would place with NI and being in control. I know how long it takes me to get ready, or to travel to a person's house, or to cook a meal, or whatever. So having someone try to rush me is another way of removing the control I have over myself and the situation that I'm in, and can throw me off balance and cause stress. Shallow conversations can be a trigger, mostly because INFJs are both introverted and intuitive. Conversations that just stick to social niceties are boring, pointless, and annoying. I have no issues with being polite, but when it turns into a half-an-hour conversation about the weather, sports, gossip, or any other shallow topic, without allowing any space for my depth, then I just want to disappear and reappear at home with a book that actually has some substance. All intuitive types crave depth, and forcing us to stay in our sensing functions for too long will inevitably cause stress. Crowds are also a trigger in the same way as loud noises and shallow conversations. They force us to stay in our inferior SE for long periods of time, because we need to be aware that we aren't in anybody's way. We need to always be looking around for that one person that is guaranteed to walk straight into us and knock whatever we are holding out of our hands. We need to make sure that nobody's going to steal our bag, that we can see a clear path ahead of us for wherever we are going. Also, being in close proximity to lots of people means that we are likely to pick up on some emotions with our FE, so we need to be processing those at the same time. And big crowds often mean loud noises and lots of movement, so we have a lot to take in and very little time to process anything before we need to react. It's a big drain on our energy for a decent period of time. Irrational decisions are a problem for our TI mostly. TI is logical, and INFJs are very good at switching between values and logic. We don't tend to prefer one massively over the other, like many other types do. So although we do use values to make our decisions, there is always a healthy amount of logic thrown in there as well, which means that when people act completely irrational for no reason, it can bug us. I would say that I will get annoyed with irrational decisions when there is plenty of time to think rationally, so not when a spur-of-the-moment decision needs to be made, like in an accident. Nobody is completely rational in emergency situations, but when you have time to think rationally about the decision, and you still choose to act irrationally, that will probably bug me. Having our intelligence insulted. TI likes to research and to learn about lots of things, so that can insult TI, but if we value intelligence like I do, then it will also insult FE as well. This one I'd say is probably more subjective, as it will be an issue if it is aimed at an area that we know we are good at. So I know I'm good at maths, and if somebody insults me, then that will probably hurt me. But if they say I'm rubbish at interpreting abstract art, then I'm probably not going to feel insulted, because I don't think I'm any good at that anyway. So for me, it would need to be more than just saying, "You're dumb." I think it would need to be aimed at an area that we are actually good at for it to be insulting. Bullying involves picking on people that you think are weaker than you, and that is sure to be a problem for most people, especially when it goes against our values. And you have to be a pretty crappy person not to value treating people with respect. For INFJs, it is an issue for our FE, and depending on where we are in life, we may stand up for that person too, and use a bit of our TI. Unless you're in school and you're the one being bullied, then it gets a bit more difficult. But if that's the case, then getting your own back is turned into becoming the best you that you can be, and showing the bullies that what they did had no overall effect on you. They didn't break you or destroy your confidence, and you show them that you won by being a good person. People assuming things about you. I hate that. I would say it's an issue mainly for NI, because INFJs are always asking why, and looking for the deeper meanings and reasons behind things. I don't take things at face value. I know enough to see that there is always something else going on between the lines, and I'm very clear about telling people to ask me if they don't understand something about me, or are unclear about something. As I said before, I value honesty, so if people ask, then I will tell them. Just don't think you know everything and assume, especially if that leads to treating me differently because of said assumption. Nobody understands what's going on in my head, oftentimes, even I don't, so just ask. Child or animal abuse. Again, definitely an FE value issue. And as with bullying, it's picking on one who is seen as weaker than you, and only vile people would do such a thing. So that would definitely be a trigger, and if you want help to change, then I will try to find some, but if you don't think you're doing anything wrong, then big door slam for you. Our emotions being dismissed or judged. I think this can be a big trigger for FE, TI, and probably NI too, because many INFJs have spent most of their lives feeling misunderstood and judged, just because they are different from everybody else and think differently. They have kept their thoughts and their feelings to themselves, so when they finally do open up and take that leap of faith with someone they feel they can trust, it hurts all the more when that person dismisses or judges them too. Also, INFJs tend to rationalize their own emotions through a lens of logic. They use their TI to explain their emotions, which is not exactly helpful, by the way. So if an INFJ can't find a logical explanation or reason for why they're feeling a certain way, they will often dismiss it, until they learn how to properly handle their emotions. But this means that when someone else dismisses their emotions, it will hurt doubly as much, because not only is the person telling them that their feelings are wrong, but that their decision to allow themselves to feel it is also wrong too. Willful ignorance is a trigger mainly for TI, but also FE values too. TI likes fairness, and when someone can see that there is an unfair situation in front of them, but chooses to ignore it and do nothing, that is a problem, especially if the person is in a position of authority or is able to do something to change it. This can link with several others: a teacher choosing to ignore bullying happening in a classroom, a parent allowing another parent to abuse a child and choosing to do nothing out of fear or whatever. Willful ignorance is annoying, but when it is towards a situation that also involves someone who is unable to properly protect themselves, then INFJ values are pulled into question, and this can be a very big trigger. On a more minor level, I also dislike it when people are too ignorant to look into anything. They'd much rather just believe everything that they are told without question, instead of doing their own research to double-check the supposed facts they've been told. And that bugs my NI, because I question everything. I think it's just a waste of intelligence and common sense to prefer to believe what other people tell you because it's easier, rather than doing your own research. But that's just my opinion. And lastly is bigotry. Probably an issue for all the cognitive functions, I'd say. NI looks deeper than face value. FE values being kind. TI can't see any logic in it, and SE doesn't see that much of a difference between people. This also links with bullying, willful ignorance, assuming, and just general closed-mindedness, which I also dislike. Again, it's choosing to believe what other people say instead of doing your own research. Young children don't start out racist, sexist, or anythingist. They know that we are all human beings and we are all equal. All of these issues pop up as people get older and believe what they are told about people who look differently or think differently to them. Why not go out into the world, talk to people of different races, cultures, religions, etc. Maybe you'll realise that they are just as important as you are. I guess I just don't understand the concept of treating someone differently because they aren't the same as you. I've spent my whole life being squished into boxes that I don't fit in because people were trying to make me more like them, and that's just because of my personality. Why is that necessary? Why can't we appreciate and even learn to love our differences? That's what makes life so magical, because everyone has their own story to tell, and we can learn things from everybody we meet, no matter where they came from or what they look like. I think that's really exciting. But anyway, I hope this was interesting. Clearly the post was right and definitely has triggers for INFJs. As always, thank you for your time.